In Los Angeles, Ronni Chasen, agent to Hollywood's biggest stars, met her death as if in a movie scene. She was riddled with bullets while at the wheel of her car. In Beverly Hills, paranoia grips the A-list celebrities.
People were completely paranoid, saying things like, "Oh my God. Oh my God, there's someone dangerous out there."
In the City of Angels, rumors and speculations about Ronni Chasen's assassination are running wild. Dive into the heart of a mysterious case at the foot of the Hollywood Hills. In Texas, a Latin music superstar vanishes under dramatic circumstances. Selena Quintanilla, the little Mexican princess, had just triumphed at the Grammy Awards. Why was this rising young star executed?
She was so kind and trusting, and that's certainly what led to her downfall.
Was the fervor of her fans fatal to Selena? What was the young star doing in a remote Texas hotel? A look back at a fairy tale that turned into a nightmare. In Munich, the famous and eccentric German fashion designer Rudolph Moshammer is found murdered in his home. His death is a shock to Munich residents. His luxurious boutique attracted all of showbiz and the wealthy elite. A strange crime.
We had the feeling that someone had staged the scene like in a bad crime novel.
Did the investigators manage to unmask Rudolph Moshammer's killer? On November 16, 2010, Ronni Chasen, Hollywood star agent, was murdered in the dead of night at the wheel of her car in the quiet streets of Beverly Hills.
She was part of the star's inner circle. She was friends with the elite, with people from magazines and TV.
Television people.
A murder in Beverly Hills. Panic grips the world's richest and safest city.
People were completely paranoid, saying things like, "Oh my God. Oh my God, there's someone dangerous out there."
In Hollywood, news of the murder set the media ablaze. The wildest scenarios are being suggested.
Some said it was someone from the mafia to whom she owed money, that it was a family matter, or an influential Hollywood figure with whom she'd had a falling out.
At the crime scene, Beverly Hills police officers find clues that point in the same direction.
It felt like someone knew.
It gave the impression that the shooter knew what they were doing. And the people who know what they're doing are usually the ones who get paid to do it.
Who paid some non-mob person off.
Did Ronni Chasen have an unfortunate encounter that night? Was there a contract out on her? Who could have had it in for the star agent? Dive into one of Hollywood's most mysterious murders. Beverly Hills, the world's richest city, at the foot of the Hollywood Hills. Here, all the hallmarks: beauty, luxury, tranquility, and celebrities. 15 small square kilometers that are home to the largest concentration of stars on the planet. Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Val Kilmer, or even David Beckham, showbiz personalities live here among themselves, hidden away in their dream villas. Welcome to the Celebrity Enclave. Tonight on Hollywood Boulevard, it's the highly anticipated premiere of the burlesque musical, starring Cher and Christina Aguilera.
Yes.
Hundreds of fans crowd to catch a glimpse of their idols. Limousines follow one after another. The stars parade down the red carpet. Just steps away from the photographer's area, Ronni Chasen, a Hollywood power player. She's the agent for the biggest stars in American cinema. And if she's holding court on the red carpet tonight, it's to support one of her clients, Diane Warren, who composed the film's headline song. And the stakes are high, as we're just weeks away from the grand Oscar ceremony. Thanks to Ronni Chasen's expertise, there's already talk of a nomination for Diane, even though no one has seen the film yet.
It was her job to
It was her job to bring celebrities, authors, and people who needed publicity to the red carpet. So she was part of the star's inner circle. She was friends with the elite, with magazine people, and with TV personalities.
Television people.
After the screening, a party is held at one of Hollywood's most luxurious hotels. But Ronni, wherever she goes, doesn't like to stay up late. It's around midnight when she gets into her vehicle and heads towards the very chic Westwood neighborhood. The car speeds under the bright lights of the legendary Sunset Boulevard. Ronni Chasen then makes a mysterious phone call. Then gradually the lights fade, giving way to the lush vegetation of Beverly Hills.
And then
Suddenly you enter Beverly Hills and there's a big sign that says, "Welcome to Beverly Hills."
it's like,
And then everything changes. It's very posh, very chic, and very quiet.
quiet. That would have been.
It's certainly a route that Ronni had taken 1,000 times. I've done it 1,000 times myself. I mean, everyone takes that route.
I mean, everybody does it.
That is, if you belong to the very privileged circle of the Beverly Hills jet set. All is quiet on Sunset Boulevard. Ronni Chasen is only a few miles from home. The light turns red at the corner of Whittier and Sunset Boulevard. Suddenly, 5 shots are fired at Ronni Chasen. The luxury sedan veers off course, continues for about 100 yards before violently crashing into a lamppost.
We know that the first person to call the police to report the incident was a neighbor in Beverly Hills.
It's a very quiet neighborhood. Late at night, someone heard gunshots, then the sound of the car hitting the lamppost.
It was a very loud noise that woke up people in the vicinity, and the police were alerted very quickly after the accident.
Police actually very quickly after the incident.
Indeed, just minutes after the gunshots, Beverly Hills police are at the scene of the shooting. The passenger side window of the vehicle is shattered. There are no bullet holes in the car. But inside, the police discover a blonde woman, her face slumped over the steering wheel. She has been shot multiple times in the body. She is critically injured. The woman is rushed to Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles. An hour later, Ronni Chasen is pronounced dead. What happened on that night of November 16th, 2010, on this quiet Beverly Hills Avenue? Was Ronni Chasen the victim of a prowler? Or was she the target of a premeditated murder? The news quickly spreads throughout Los Angeles and the media. TV channels interrupt their programs to cover the event. Ronni Chasen's murder leads the news broadcasts.
And then I read the caption.
I read the news and I started crying. And of course, when they found out, Hollywood people were stunned. Nobody worked that day. It was almost worse than if a star had died, because it was an assassination. An assassination of someone everyone greatly respected.
Really respected.
Investigators are looking into Ronnie's career. Though the public might not have known her, Ronni Chasen was nevertheless a central figure in the world of cinema and showbiz. This petite blonde with boundless energy and a sharp sense of humor was a professional figure among the most respected in the industry.
Hollywood was in shock.
Hollywood was in shock and social media went crazy that day.
And
Ronni Chasen was a highly respected publicist, a Hollywood icon who truly belonged alongside the biggest celebrities and had helped many of them in their careers.
Most famous of celebrities.
Indeed, from Natalie Wood to John Travolta, several stars owe their careers to her. Ronni had fallen into the world of movie stars and public relations from a very young age. Her story begins in New York in the 1970s, working alongside her brother, a director, promoting B-movies. But Ronni is ambitious. She then takes off for the Mecca of cinema,
She worked for Roger Cohen, a very well-known communications agency in Los Angeles for many years before setting up her own agency, Jason and Company.
Chasen and Company.
Jason Co. would be Ronnie's baby. No husband, no children. She dedicates her life to her career. Her company bears her name. Ronni proudly displays her independence. If she's often seen on the red carpet, it's mainly because she's a major lobbyist for the Oscars ceremony. Morgan Freeman owed her his Oscar for Driving Miss Daisy. And Michael Douglas, his Best Actor award for Wall Street. Among her latest lobbying campaigns, she boasted great successes from The Social Network to Slumdog Millionaire, including Burlesque. A behind-the-scenes job made of smiles and attention to detail. When the Oscar campaign begins, people think that the nominations are up for debate.
But it's actually something completely calculated by publicists who lobby for their clients to be nominated.
She was,
Ronni would call different magazines, The Hollywood Reporter, Variety.
She worked tirelessly for her clients.
And that's why she was known for her great tenacity and her tough-as-nails reputation.
A success that could attract jealousies. Because behind the little gold statuette, millions of dollars are at stake. A good reason to make enemies. Even 2 months after her death, Ronni Chasen is still experiencing success. Diane Warren, her protege, wins the Golden Globe Award for Best Original Song for the film Burlesque.
Dedicate this to somebody a lot of you knew and all of us loved, to Ronni Chasen. This is for her. And thank you. And
relentless and persevering, at 64, Ronni was from the old school of public relations. Not the type to bow and scrape.
She took no prisoners.
She made no concessions. She was very honest, very direct, and really said what she thought.
She told it to you the way it was.
She wasn't the type to sugarcoat things. Not the type to say, "Here, darling, have a chocolate," before bluntly telling you, "I hate your movie."
Or whatever. She was strong lady.
She was a strong woman, and I understand that very well. I don't think you can achieve success without that, because people will walk all over you quickly, especially in this city and in this industry.
In this industry.
Did her professional success and her behind-the-scenes influence at the Oscars arouse jealousies in the glamorous world of Hollywood? Could Ronni have made enemies to the point of being assassinated? On November 16th, 2010, the woman who worked behind the scenes for the stars found herself in the spotlight. In the early morning, the upscale residents of Beverly Hills are in shock. A crime in Beverly Hills, the two words are incompatible in this jet-set paradise.
Hollywood was in shock. Beverly Hills was in shock. What? Ronni murdered in Beverly Hills? It doesn't make sense.
And for good reason. The city has a reputation for being the safest in the world. Here, homicides are rare. The police are omnipresent, and there are more surveillance cameras than pedestrians.
Beverly was shocked by this story. It was a breach in the security bubble of this city. Many people, including myself, chose to live there for the simple reason that there is a very low crime rate. It's a charming place where people love to live, because Beverly Hills has this reputation for absolute safety, where the risk of assault or violence is virtually non-existent.
Fear grips the city. It's the beginning of a psychosis.
People were becoming completely paranoid. Like, oh my God, there's someone dangerous out there. They started to get really scared.
Frightened.
It was as if everyone was holding their breath at the same time.
At Beverly Hills Police Headquarters, they're on a war footing. The pressure is enormous. The police have no room for error. They must quickly find the culprit behind the murder of the star agent.
We don't have crimes like this in the city of Beverly Hills.
So it is a surprise to us. We've got numerous investigators at the scene that are trying to piece this thing together.
The first surprise for the investigators was that the shooter didn't touch Renee's personal belongings. Nothing was stolen from the car. A second element intrigues them. The police find no revolver casings at the crime scene.
One of the
first things that came out of the investigation was that there were no shell casings.
and
This immediately led people to conclude that it was a contract killing. A professional killer had been hired to kill Ronni and was experienced enough to collect the shell casings.
sophisticated enough to pick up the shell casings. The preliminary
Moreover, the autopsy report confirms their initial findings.
were closely grouped and it hit Ronni in her torso.
The coroner reveals that Ronni Chasen was shot 5 times in the chest and that the bullets are very close to each other.
Close grouping.
It felt like
This gave the impression that the person who fired knew what they were doing. And the people who know what they're doing are usually those who are paid to do it, like mafia guys or a sniper or a thug who's been paid to take someone out.
person who paid some non-mob person off.
A hit ordered on Ronni. The murder is believed to be the work of a professional hitman, an initial lead that is confirmed at the highest level.
Not only did the coroner make it,
Very soon after the murder, the coroner made a statement saying it was the work of a professional, and the mayor of Beverly Hills also made a similar statement. So you have 2 official representatives stating that the murder was likely the work of a pro, and that the circumstances in which he was killed at the wheel of his car suggest a contract killing.
Ronni Chasen in her car.
No shell casings in the vehicle, grouped impacts on the victim's chest, no signs of theft. The evidence gathered by investigators points in the same direction, a cold-blooded murder. A final clue supports this lead.
We quickly learned that one of the leads investigators were following was that of an SUV from which the shots would have been fired given the angle of fire on the car.
into her vehicle.
The angle of fire, determined by the forensic pathologists, indeed indicates that the killer was higher up than the passenger. The shots were therefore fired from an SUV.
From the beginning, investigators were talking about an SUV. We imagine a black car with tinted windows, a mafia-style murder, dark and calculated.
For the investigators, the ballistic evidence spoke for itself. This murder is the work of a professional. But there is no other evidence that could provide information about the killer's identity. No DNA, no tire tracks, no physical evidence to support their theory. The police have hit a dead end. The last hope is to find a witness to the crime.
This part of Sunset Boulevard is a very prominent area of Beverly Hills, with many sumptuous villas inhabited by the most VIP people there are. It is not a place where you see people walking in the streets. At most during the day, you might come across a jogger or two. Maybe a mom with a stroller. But it is an ultra-privileged area, reserved for the richest of the rich. So there was really no one around to see what happened.
And saw the crime take place.
Without eyewitnesses, the police once again find themselves at a standstill. They therefore rely on the surveillance cameras of the surrounding villas. In this affluent neighborhood, each residence is equipped with the latest security technology.
People who lived near the crime scene and who were not even home that night discovered through their surveillance cameras that their own house might have witnessed the murder.
Luck finally smiles on the investigators. A camera recorded the crime scene.
This home that had...
Near the intersection of Sunset and Whittier, the surveillance camera of one of the villas recorded the scene that night.
To write my article, I went to the villa owner's home.
And the only thing visible on the video was Ronnie's car crashing into a lamppost.
Unfortunately, the camera was poorly positioned and did not record the crime scene. The Beverly police officers are greatly disappointed. No witnesses, no footage, no evidence of theft. Why and how? Did the killer erase the traces of the crime scene? What did he want with Ronni Chasen to the point of ordering his death? The police are certain. A hit was ordered on Ronni Chasen, and to catch the killer, they need to unmask the mastermind. The investigators will then start searching for clues and delve into Ronnie's past.
Any well-conducted police investigation starts with the victim's inner circle, then expands outward again and again. Most homicides, kidnappings, rapes, and other such crimes or acts of violence generally occur between people who know each other. So it's logical that the police started by investigating his family life, private life, affairs, and business. It makes sense to start there.
Perfect sense.
And the police are right to be interested in her private life, as she had amassed a tidy sum of $6 million over the years.
She had money.
Did she have money? Of course she did. Was she a multi-millionaire? No, but she was a millionaire.
So who would inherit the handsome sum of $6 million? With no direct descendants, Ronni had written a will that would intrigue the investigators.
And of course, the police were going to look to...
Of course, the police looked into the identity of the beneficiaries. One of them was her brother, and then there were her two nieces.
Who had two children.
One of them inherited, and the other got nothing. It's obvious that as an individual, you have every right to treat your family members differently. But as an investigator, you have to take a closer look.
To understand more behind it.
And here's what Ronni Chasen dictated in the famous will. I have intentionally and knowingly chosen not to leave any money to Magna Jill Cohen except for this gift of $10. So one of the nieces inherits the jackpot and the other receives a slap in the face.
Clearly something smells fishy. When in a case, one family member is explicitly treated differently from another, even though they have the same familial rank.
The niece's lead is interesting, but the police will quickly realize that the two young women knew nothing about Ronnie's last wishes. The will was a red herring. Back to square one for the investigators. The journalists, for their part, are having a field day with this mystery. They speculate on the motive for the murder and concoct the wildest theories. Rumors spread, grow louder, and become impossible to stop.
Ronni Chasen was very well known. And Hollywood is a city where people make their living by telling stories. As there was no resolution to this crime, theories began to circulate about her having hidden money.
Stories started circulating. There were suggestions that
people were telling all sorts of stories.
She owed somebody money.
She had allegedly stolen money from people in the industry, which lent credence to the theory of a hit being put out on her.
There were suggestions that the hit had been put out on her.
Some of the
various theories began to circulate, and some even went so far as to suggest gambling debts.
Ronni Chasen was known.
Ronni Chasen was known to be a great art collector. So people started speculating that a rare piece was at the center of the case.
That a transaction had gone wrong, and basically she had ended up doing business with the wrong people. Frankly, these were stories worthy of a noir novel.
And out of a movie, frankly.
If journalists are turning into screenwriters, it's because they have no real information to sink their teeth into. The police remain desperately silent about the case. A silence that reveals their inability to develop a serious lead. All avenues explored are dead ends. Nothing suspicious in Ronnie's family relationships. No gambling debts, conflicts of interest, or even illegal transactions in the art world. The police are bogged down, spinning their wheels, and floundering. They're about to get an unexpected break. Steve Katz is the editor-in-chief of the show that tracks criminals live. America's Most Wanted has been a ratings hit for over 20 years. The concept is as simple as this. If you know anything about a crime, a missing person, or a fugitive, give us a call.
Multiple
people came to us and said, go for it. This case is perfect for you. It's high profile and the police are out of their depth. So we contacted law enforcement and started working with them.
2 weeks after the murder, the show broadcasts a call for witnesses regarding Ronni Chasen's murder. And of course, there's a $125,000 reward up for grabs. Solving a crime in Hollywood is priceless. That's enough to get the bounty hunters interested. Will the mysterious shooter be exposed? Will the TV show finally break the police deadlock? And most importantly, who could have ordered the hit on the celebrity paparazzo? America's Most Wanted's call for witnesses will once again pay off.
Jason attended the premiere on Tuesday.
Police say it's assumed she was making her way home when she was killed.
Over the 25 seasons of America's Most Wanted, more than 1,150 fugitives have been caught this way. People call and say, I know something about this person. She's with me right now, or she comes over for dinner every Wednesday or something like that. It's a ratings smash.
It's been very successful.
Very quickly that evening, a big fish took the bait.
When the informant contacted us, he even called several times, in fact. He was nervous. So one of our operators guided him through the process to get him to talk.
Giving some of the information.
An anonymous tipster.
An anonymous tipster who wanted to pocket the $125,000 said that Ronni Chasen's killer was parading around Hollywood, boasting about having killed him.
Had just done.
The informant is cautious and wants to remain anonymous. According to him, the perpetrator is allegedly a 43-year-old single man named Harold Smith. For the first time, investigators have a solid lead. The man is known to law enforcement. He has already been convicted several times for burglaries and acts of violence.
Mr. Smith was...
Mr.
Smith had recently been released from prison.
He was a regular drug user, and clearly he was causing concern in the neighborhood.
Somebody who maybe his neighbors were...
His behavior was visibly erratic, and the informant thought it was worth contacting the show.
...together and thought it was worth a shot and gave a phone call.
On December 2nd, 2010, several police officers went to the suspect's home in a modest Hollywood neighborhood more than 6 miles from the luxury of Beverly Hills. Harold Smith lives at 5640 Santa Monica Boulevard in the Harvey apartment, a public housing unit. Everything seems normal to the police officers when they enter this small building. Smith is unemployed but has reportedly been keeping a low profile since his release from prison. A police officer knocks on Smith's door. And there, behind the door, Harold Smith has just shot himself in the head with a large caliber revolver. The police find nothing inside, no large sums of money. Mr. Smith's only possession is parked in front of the building, his bicycle. Is this desperate act an admission of guilt? On the scene, an impromptu press conference is held in front of a group of eager journalists.
And this person was a person of interest from the Chasen incident. And that's all we have at this point, as the captain mentioned.
Journalists are now speculating on the possibility that Harold Smith might be Ronnie's killer. But a source close to the investigation reveals a crucial piece of information to the press. According to initial findings, the revolver with which Mr. Smith killed himself is not the one used to kill Ronni. The professional hitman theory is therefore still valid. A hypothesis that seems more satisfying to Beverly Hills police than that of a small-time criminal. But a bombshell drops a week later. At a press conference, the Beverly Hills police chief backtracks.
The weapon used by our person of interest, Harold Martin Smith, to commit suicide does preliminarily match the evidence from the Chasen homicide.
Journalists, exasperated by the police's inconsistencies, are quick to point out this about-face.
Well, that is contrary to what the reports earlier in the week said, that there was no match and that it was back to square one. And while police won't...
The Hollywood-style scenario concocted by the mayor and the police falls apart. There is no more mafia revenge, no more contracts on Ronnie's head, no more hitman on the run. But a simple crime by a prowler, a petty criminal. Harold Smith allegedly tried to rob Ronni, a mundane act of violence that went wrong. The reputation of the Beverly Hills police takes a serious hit.
I think on the first day of the investigation, they said to themselves, "We are going to make a public statement and show that we already have a grasp of the case."
Everyone will see that we are really sharp when it comes to criminal investigations. And it all blew up in their faces. 3 weeks later, they looked like amateurs.
Another revelation. Harold Smith was not driving an SUV, but riding his bike when he shot Ronni Chasen.
One of
the most notable details is that Harold Smith got on his bike and rode about 6 miles from Hollywood to Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills.
So he was on his bike when he killed Ronni Chasen.
Killed Miss Chasen. To hear that.
And hearing that the killer was a man on a bike really angered everyone.
Frankly, upset some people.
Here's an extraordinary story that ends up being just a simple robbery gone wrong. A drugged-up guy on a bicycle who killed a woman in a luxury car.
Failed carjacking, a failed robbery.
On November 16th, around midnight, Ronni got into her car and called her office. The mysterious phone call was, in fact, just a simple reminder of her schedule. The luxurious car gliding through the silent streets of Beverly Hills stopped at a red light at the corner of Whittier Drive and Sunset Boulevard. Suddenly, Harold Smith on his bike silently approached the car. He put his foot down, spotted a blonde figure, and fired 5 bullets into her chest. The vehicle crashed into a lamppost. But a mystery remains. Why did Harold Smith shoot the star agent? Was Ronni in the wrong place at the wrong time? Hired hit or random violence? No one will ever know the answer.
Because we live in Hollywood?
We live in Hollywood. It's the capital of glamour, suspense, and illusion.
Simple.
Such a simple ending didn't match the stories and various scenarios we had all conjured up.
Ronni Chasen's murder will remain a mystery. An ending that Hollywood doesn't like. On March 31st, 1995, in the small seaside resort of Corpus Christi, Texas, a young woman runs out of a hotel room. Someone has just shot her.
As she starts running and screaming, her heart beats faster and faster, and inside her body, the bleeding intensifies.
And bleeding.
This young woman is Selena Quintanilla, the queen of Latin music. The Mexican-American star sells millions of records and has just triumphed at the Grammy Awards. The singer was living a fairy tale.
She was always...
She was adorable and very approachable.
I was always impressed by how close she was to her fans.
With her fans.
The superstar was racking up successes and was adored by her audience. So why was this musical prodigy killed?
She was so kind and so trusting, and that's certainly what led to her downfall.
Her downfall.
Did the fervor of her fans lead to Selena Quintanilla's downfall? What was the young star doing in an isolated Texas motel?
I attempted to start an intravenous in her right arm, and when I moved it, a ring fell from her hand.
Who shot the Latina princess? What's the mystery behind the ring? A look back at a fairy tale that turned into a nightmare. In southern Texas, the small seaside resort of Corpus Christi. All is quiet on March 31st, 1995. It's 11:48 a.m. Suddenly, in this motel on the outskirts of town, a gunshot shatters the peaceful morning. A young woman rushes out of a room. She walks with difficulty, stumbling, her vision blurred. Meter after meter, she leaves her bloody footprints. She's lost a lot of blood, but she's doing everything she can to reach the motel reception. In her hand, she's clutching an object at all costs. Will she make it to the reception and reveal the name of the person who shot her?
She's starting to have internal bleeding. Sure, there's blood flowing on the outside, but it's bleeding much more inside her body.
And
she runs and screams for over 100 meters all along the pool, up to the lobby.
all the way to...
As she runs and screams, her heart beats harder and harder, and the more she runs, the more she bleeds more and more increasingly.
Bleeding and bleeding.
Out of breath, the young woman finally reaches the hotel reception and collapses on the floor. An employee rushes to her and recognizes her immediately. It's Selena Quintanilla, the queen of Latin music. At 23, she has already sold 20 million albums and has just been crowned at the Grammy Awards. The hotel employee is stunned.
Hub, the manager, leans gently towards her. He tries to prop her up. And he cries out, "It's Selena, it's Selena!"
And looked up at Ruben, the manager.
She opens her eyes. She looks at Ruben and says to him, "Who did this?" Selena says, and these will be her last words, the last words she will ever utter on earth, room 150.
Room 150, the one from which the young woman has just escaped. Why is Selena giving this number? What happened in room 150? But more importantly, what was the Latin music star doing in this modest Texas motel? Was she the victim of an assault or a date gone wrong? The receptionist immediately calls an ambulance.
We have a woman ran in the lobby, so she's been shot. She's right on the floor and there's blood.
Help arrives in just a few minutes. Among them, Richard Fredrickson, a paramedic, gives first aid to Selena.
We heard the call come in?
We heard the call about gunshots in this area. A team was dispatched, but since we were closer, we took the call and went there immediately. When we arrived at the reception, we found her there lying on the floor.
We found her laying right here on the ground. Find out where.
We immediately looked for where she had been shot. We cut open her sweatshirt. She had a bullet wound in her chest, near the collarbone. When we turned her over, we saw that she was wounded in the back. So we removed the jacket and found the wound. We patched her up as quickly as possible, turned her over, put her on the stretcher, and took her straight out of here to put her in the ambulance.
In the vehicle, as Richard tries to stabilize Selena's condition, he makes a surprising discovery.
I tried to give her an intravenous in her right arm, but it wasn't working. So I tried on her left arm, and when I moved it, a ring fell from her hand. It fell on the floor. I picked it up, put it on a shelf, and continued my attempt at an intravenous.
Selena ran for over 100 meters with a bullet in her back, losing several liters of blood. But despite her condition, the singer never let go of this ring until help arrived. What mystery lies behind this piece of jewelry? The ambulance speeds towards Corpus Christi Hospital. Despite the quick response of emergency services, the Latina princess passes away upon arrival.
If Selena hadn't moved and had remained upright, the bullet wouldn't have penetrated in this way. It wouldn't have taken that path. It might have punctured a lung, but she would probably still be alive today. It's crazy how life hangs by a thread.
She'd probably still be alive today.
On that day, Selena Quintanilla's fate was decided by a matter of millimeters, tolling the death knell of a life that had all the makings of a fairy tale. A voice, an angelic face. The Latina princess thrilled crowds with each of her appearances. She had revolutionized Mexican music in a still very male-dominated field. Born in Texas, Selena is the youngest child of a modest family of Mexican origin. From the age of 6, the little girl showed a natural talent for music. Her father, Abraham, wants to make her a star. She will be the lead singer of the band he's forming with all his children. 10 years later, Selena and her siblings have made a name for themselves by performing at weddings, fairs, and local festivals. Now, Selena has become the icon of Tejano music, a blend of country and Mexican rhythms. Under the strict guidance of the patriarch Abraham, Selena releases one successful album after another. At 18, she even becomes an ambassador for the American soda giant. A meteoric rise.
One evening, I was watching TV. I heard her for the first time, and I saw that this girl had something special.
It was amazing.
She had a voice, a huge stage presence, but above all, I noticed she had the gift of drawing people in. The number and diversity of people at the concert were astonishing. It was clear that she had something not all artists have. An artist is an artist, but she had that little extra soul, that gift from God.
At 20, Selena is already at the head of a fortune estimated at $5 million, an audacious success. And the young diva soon becomes the object of fantasy for thousands of fans.
She was very talented.
A beautiful, charming woman who had all the assets a celebrity could dream of.
I've met Selena.
I met Selena and her band several times, often during televised events.
She was absolutely adorable and very approachable.
I must say that I've always been very impressed by how close she was to her fans.
She had with her fans.
Did this closeness to her fans lead to her downfall? Did some groupies encroach on her life? On the eve of her 24th birthday, was the shooting star of Latin music overwhelmed by her success? At the Days Inn, a hotel employee heard the gunshot. Trinidad Espinosa, in charge of maintenance, is even the first to see the face of the criminal.
I walked to the corner here.
I was going in that direction, and I saw a cleaning lady running.
One of the housekeepers.
She was screaming, "Someone's been shot!"
That
But I didn't go all the way there because I saw another woman come out of the room with a revolver in her hand.
with the gun in her hand.
She was about there, with her weapon pointed like this, and Selena kept running. So the woman went back towards the room, and then she went to her pickup truck that was parked right there.
Her truck was parked back here.
So it was a woman who shot Selena. At the wheel of her red pickup truck, she now tries to escape. But she comes face to face with the police officers arriving at the crime scene. Faced with the officers, the suspect vehicle backs up and eventually parks. To prevent any risk of escape, the police officers position themselves behind the pickup truck. Paul Rivera, lead investigator, is in charge of the operations. He quickly discovers at the hotel reception the identity of the occupant of room 150. A certain Yolanda Saldivar, owner of a red pickup truck. Paul Rivera then tries to make contact with her.
I tried to talk to her. I said, "Ma'am, come out of there. We are going to help you."
We're going to help you.
She lowered the tinted window and said, "Go away."
Go away!
"Ma'am, we want to help you."
Go away!
We're going to help you. Get away.
And she was pointing her revolver at her temple.
The woman is armed and refuses to leave her vehicle. Hysterical, she orders the police not to approach her and even threatens to commit suicide. To avoid a shootout, the police officers initiate an exceptional security measure. They call in SWAT, an elite unit accustomed to handling hostage situations.
SWAT team is
SWAT is better prepared to handle violent situations.
violence, especially in situations.
It is a special unit.
The SWAT team are
A unit that has the best marksmen.
better at firearms, and in case
They are more capable of disarming a person than an average police officer.
shoot to maybe disarm a person,
They are much more skilled, much more effective.
a patrol officer maybe.
That day, as a SWAT negotiator, Larry Young is at the forefront. He will have to negotiate with the armed woman in the parking lot. A delicate mission, far removed from TV series stereotypes.
ordinarily we don't walk at. It's not like
It is not like on TV where the cop shows up and says, "Okay, I will go in. I will pretend to be the pizza delivery guy. I will look left, I will look right. Do not worry, I will bring the hostage back." I am not going in armed. I am taking off my bulletproof vest. Oh no. It is not like that at all.
like that at all.
Armed to the teeth, the SWAT officers positioned themselves around the car. And they ran a phone line so Larry could talk to the armed woman, Yolanda Salvar.
The first thing that I said.
The first thing I said to Yolanda was, "Yolanda, I am Larry. What can I do for you?"
I know you're in a bad.
I know you are in a difficult situation.
How can we work this?
How can we get you out of this?
And she was.
She was really hysterical, very emotional, and not really communicative at first.
Not very talkative in the very beginning.
She was crying a lot.
Whined a lot.
Investigators now know the face of the woman who shot Selena. But who is this Yolanda? Did she know the Latin music star? As the hours pass, the police manage to build her profile.
She had been a nurse.
She had been a nurse in a private clinic. She often went to Selena's concerts, and on these occasions, she had grown close to the singer's sister, Suzette. So she became friends with her sister, then grew close to Selena and convinced her that she could start a fan club for her.
Selena's fan club.
Yolanda, a single woman and Selena fan from day one, was overjoyed at the idea of working for her idol.
So Yolanda started running the fan?
So Yolanda ran Selena's fan club. The operation of this club was simple. Anyone who wanted to join would send $20 and receive a photo, a cassette, and a t-shirt of the singer. Yolanda had to send all of that as soon as she received the $20.
$20.
After a few months, the dream becomes reality for Yolanda. She became the star's confidant, her princess, the object of her fantasy, but also a close member of the family clan to the point of taking an important role in their business. Selena soon entrusts her with the entire management of her fan clubs. However, at the time, some people question Yolanda's competence. Television producer Ken Martin still remembers their first conversation.
During our initial discovery,
When I wanted to contact Selena, I called her office in San Antonio, and after being bounced from one person to another, I finally ended up talking to Yolanda, who introduced herself as her manager.
the proposal was about,
I explained the business proposal I wanted to make, but I wasn't at all impressed by her knowledge of the business. I had to explain the steps to follow several times, and the discussions I had with her were really not productive.
productive at all.
In the hotel parking lot, the situation is tense. Yolanda still refuses to surrender. Lane has only one obsession, to arrest her alive. She's the only one who knows what happened in room 150. So the negotiator does everything to maintain contact with her.
She wanted to talk.
She needed to talk. She had a lot on her mind.
Apparently she had been with...
She was close to the family, and apparently she had been very close to Selena for quite some time.
So...
She was overwhelmed by different emotions and needed to let it all out.
Yolanda opens up more and more to the negotiator. She confides in him about the difficult relationship she had with Selena's father.
She and Selena's father didn't get along.
Obviously didn't get along. Or because she
felt threatened.
She let it be known that
She wanted people to know that she was afraid of him and that he had been threatening towards her, that he had done horrible things to her.
that he had done some awful
Things that could never be proven ultimately one way or the other.
Within Selena's tight-knit family circle, Yolanda quickly ran into a formidable enemy. Abraham, a possessive father who maintains an exclusive relationship with Selena, doesn't like Yolanda. He suspects her of dishonesty. His intuition will prove to be correct.
He started investigating himself.
He investigated himself, looking into the account books and endorsed checks. and discovered that Yolanda had been stealing money from them, a lot of money. There were several checks for hundreds of dollars made out to Yolanda, payable to Yolanda, and signed by Yolanda. So she was writing checks to herself, signing them, endorsing them herself, and keeping the money for herself.
And keeping the money. So
Mr. Quintanilla organized a meeting at the family home with Suzette, Selena, Yolanda, and himself. And at this meeting, he accused Yolanda of stealing money from them, and most importantly, he managed to convince Selena because Yolanda had no explanation to offer. He therefore asked her to leave the family's production company immediately.
So
and he told her, "Get out of here and never come back, or I will call the police and you will go to jail."
Yolanda has just been exposed. For the Quintanilla clan, she becomes unwelcome, except for Selena, who finds it difficult to part with her close friend. Behind her father's back, the singer will suggest that Yolanda go to Mexico to continue managing her business incognito. But before she leaves Corpus Christi, Selena asks her for the company's account books. Yolanda becomes unreachable, and Selena starts to lose patience.
And I want those records. If you don't bring...
She tells her, "If you do not bring me the accounts, I will sue you to get them back." Yolanda tells her, "Do not worry, I am on my way. I am bringing them to you." But instead of going directly to Corpus Christi, she stops in San Antonio, where she picks up a weapon and arrives in Corpus Christi on Thursday, March 30th. She arrives late in the evening and takes a room at the Days Inn Motel.
The Days Inn Hotel.
On Friday, March 31st, the phone rings early. Very early at Selena's home.
Yolanda tells
her, "Please come meet me. I did not want to tell you, but when I was in Mexico, I was raped by 3 men and beaten with a baseball bat. I am bleeding and I will die if I do not see a doctor."
I think I'm going to die unless I go to the doctor.
It is Selena, who has a big heart, who tells her, "Do not move. I am coming right away. You absolutely must see the doctor."
But you are going to the doctor.
For now, Yolanda's ploy is working on Selena. But at the hospital, the singer will discover her friend's deception.
The nurses saw that Yolanda had made it all up.
Making up a story.
She had scratches on her arms. She had inflicted them on herself.
So they talked to Selena.
They told Selena that Yolanda had not been raped.
Those scratches are self-inflicted.
And Selena took Yolanda back to the hotel.
To the hotel.
For the young star, it is a shock. Yolanda's last lie has the bitter taste of betrayal. Selena takes Yolanda back to the hotel without imagining for a second that her friend is in possession of a weapon. The singer parks next to the red pickup truck. This time, she's determined to part ways with Yolanda. But before that, she's determined to retrieve the account books that are in room 150. The two women enter the room, and the situation quickly escalates.
Selena turns around.
Selena turns around and says, "Okay, I'm leaving, Yolanda. That's enough."
Opens the door.
She's about to leave.
To walk.
She opens the door of the room. And at that moment, Yolanda points the gun at Selena's back and fires once.
A single shot that thrusts Yolanda into the spotlight. Because in the motel parking lot, the star's fans and alerted media have taken positions behind the yellow police tape. Journalists are covering the police operation live.
Get her out.
Yolanda is still barricaded in her car, in the crosshairs of snipers. After 9 hours of negotiations, the armed woman surrenders, exhausted and at her wit's end. Larry, the negotiator, finds himself face to face with her for the first time. In the parking lot, Selena's fans are going wild.
When I picked her up, I told her what to expect when she came out.
Down the street after the...
There were cameras everywhere in the streets, people honking their horns, people shouting insults with inappropriate gestures.
Vanities and
It was really chaotic.
Stuff, you know, it was kind of chaotic out there.
At the police station, Yolanda confesses to the murder of her friend. She appears devastated, but at no point does she give the reasons for her actions. The motive for the murder remains a mystery. What happened in room 150 between the two women? What drove Yolanda to shoot Selena? And why was the Queen of Latin music holding a ring in her hand? So many unanswered questions that only Yolanda Saldivar's trial can still resolve. A trial under very high tension, as fans and media are still present in full force.
If they don't set her in prison, she won't be here too long. I guarantee that.
Somebody will get rid of her.
There were signs outside that read, "Death to the pig." And that was actually one of the nicer ones. There were much worse ones, and we knew that if we returned a not guilty verdict, we would be in serious trouble.
It's getting out of the courthouse.
Yolanda faces life in prison. Everyone is waiting for the keys to unlock the mystery of room 150.
When we got to Houston, we found out how many there were.
When we arrived there were hundreds of people in front of the courthouse.
Over 200.
Satellite trucks, more than 250 media outlets from all over the world. And they had all requested credentials to attend the trial. It was so crowded that it was even difficult for us to enter and leave the courthouse every day.
Ways to get in and get out.
Yolanda Saldivar has very little chance of getting off. But on the stand, she's going to try one last gamble. In front of a stunned audience, she now pleads that it was an accident. According to her, the gun went off as she was gesturing for Selena to close the door. Will this new version convince the jurors?
Because it was a revolver.
The experts showed us that with this type of revolver, you need to apply a lot of force to pull the trigger and then fire.
I can fire it.
So you can't make it fire just by touching it, as some people often think. A gun doesn't work like that anyway.
Don't do that anyway.
Yolanda's last hope has just collapsed. But the motive for the crime still remains a mystery. Fortunately, during the trial, Yolanda's diary will reveal some answers. The prosecutor finally finds the key to the mystery of the ring.
A few weeks before the murder, Yolanda had collected money from all of Selena's employees. She had kept the money for herself, and with Selena's credit card, she had bought a ring. On Selena's birthday, Yolanda had said to her, "We bought this ring for you, for your birthday, Selena. This is the ring that seals our friendship."
So of course
Selena loved the ring with the Fabergé work on it, and she said to her, "Yolanda, this ring is the symbol of our friendship. It will bind us for the rest of our lives."
March 31st.
On the day of the murder in the hotel room, Selena takes off the ring and says, "I don't want it anymore. Our collaboration is over, and so is our friendship." When Selena took it off, that's when Yolanda pulled out the gun and said, "If I can't work for you, then I can't work for anyone." In fact, I think that when Selena took off the ring, Yolanda saw it as the end of her life, her world, her universe.
End of her world as she knows it. When she worked with Selena.
Working for Selena, she would see the best concerts, had backstage access, and met the greatest artists. Without Selena, Yolanda ultimately had no identity of her own.
Yolanda doesn't even have a life anymore.
On October 23, 1995, after 3 hours of deliberation, the 12 jurors find Yolanda Saldivar guilty of first-degree murder. She is sentenced to life in prison, with a minimum of 30 years before parole eligibility. Outside, Selena's fans eagerly await the verdict.
When the verdict came down, life in prison, it was as if the weight of the entire world was lifted from my shoulders. We were on the 5th floor of the courthouse. I left the room, leaned over the balcony, and started waving to the people. I thought I was the Pope, I was blessing them, and they started cheering, and I felt so relieved. Yes, I was the Pope, nothing less.
Yep.
Tears and cries of joy celebrate the verdict to the sound of Selena's music.
she had all the combination, whatever it is.
She had this charisma, this combination of talents and God-given gifts.
And she was going to be huge.
It's the same feeling as with James Dean. This young and talented actor who dies young and doesn't have time to fulfill the promise he symbolizes.
And I think
it's really a story that still fascinates people.
Fascinating story.
Many years after her death, the fervor of the fans has remained intact. The memory of the star is not about to fade in Corpus Christi. Now in the center of the city stands a statue of Selena. Like a saint, the Queen of Tejano is celebrated every March 31st by fans orphaned by a singer they will never see again. In the early morning of January 15, 2005, Rudolph Moshammer, the famous and exuberant Munich couturier, is found murdered in his lavish home.
But his mother was extremely everything, extreme in her way of dressing, exuberant in her madness, with Saul, her chauffeur, and her little dog.
The very bourgeois Bavarian captain has become infatuated with this baroque and whimsical fashion figure with whom showbiz stars love to dress. The press is in a frenzy. Who could have it in for Munich's darling?
I had never seen such a deployment of cameramen, reporters, and so much commotion around a case.
Upon arriving at the crime scene, the police realize that the investigation will last for days and days.
We had the feeling that someone had staged the scene like in a bad crime novel.
As they investigate this beloved figure of high society, the police will go from one surprise to another.
Moshammer truly had many faces.
Not 2 or 3, but many facets.
A staged crime scene with very few clues. Could Moshammer's killer be a professional hitman? Was the designer hiding a secret so terrible that it cost him his life? A look back at the tragic end of the man whom all of Munich dubbed the king without a crown. Munich in southern Germany. It's almost midnight on January 14, 2005. A sublime Rolls-Royce glides through the deserted streets of the Bavarian capital. At the wheel, the famous couturier Rudolph Moshammer, accompanied by another man. Moshammer is a star, a key figure in German showbiz. For 4 decades, he has reigned supreme over the fashion world. And throughout Germany, his brand is as renowned as Louis Vuitton, Chanel, and Yves Saint Laurent. Gradually, the luxurious car winds its way up the peaceful avenues of Grunewald, the elegant suburb of Munich's millionaires. The car turns on time into the very chic Robert Kochstrasse. At number 11, the gate opens, and Rudolph Moshammer parks his limousine in front of the entrance to a charming residence. The passenger in the car follows his host and enters the house. As usual, Rudolph Moshammer double locks the door behind him. He then leads his guest to the first floor, and the 2 men settle into a small private sitting room. An hour passes, and as the 2 men are about to go back downstairs, the man in the white hat attacks the famous couturier. He wraps a cable around his neck and pulls it tight. Rudolph Moshammer struggles in vain. He dies within minutes. A few hours later, on Friday, January 15, 2005, as he does every day at the same time, Andreas Kaplan, Moshammer's driver, goes to his boss's home. He heads for the door, which is strangely open. Kaplan goes upstairs and sees the lifeless body of his employer lying on the floor. Panicked, he calls for help.
I'm Mr. Moshammer's driver. He's lying on the floor, dead.
What happened that night between the 2 men in the house? What could have triggered the murder? Did the star designer Rudolph Moshammer know his killer? At the central police station, all hell breaks loose. Several teams are dispatched to the crime scene. When the investigators arrive in Grunwald, they are shocked to discover that the press has beaten them to it.
We were informed quite quickly, but the media were faster than us. Someone must have intercepted the call to the police.
It's possible.
Some journalists can tap into our lines.
I already had 10 years of experience working on high-profile murder cases, but I had never seen such a deployment of camera crews and reporters. That's when we realized how big this case was going to be.
The news spread like wildfire. It's the top story on TV news and radio. Hundreds of fans flock to the famous designer's boutique.
You can't imagine the impact the news of his death had on people. Hundreds of them came to lay flowers in front of his store. It was like a pilgrimage.
Munich is in mourning. The city mourns the death of Rudolph Moshammer. But why did the people of Munich love this exuberant and extraordinary character so much? The one they called the uncrowned king. Rudolph Moshammer was a charismatic and extravagant character. He never went out without his wig styled after Louis II of Bavaria, his sublime Rolls-Royce and Daisy, his little Yorkshire Terrier. And every year, he was celebrated as one of the key figures of Oktoberfest.
Moshammer attended every party, every festivity. He was always invited everywhere in Munich, to every party, no matter what, he was there. He was an important person who was constantly photographed.
Yet this fashion star started at the bottom of the ladder. Coming from a very modest background and without any qualifications, Rudolph Moshammer began his career as a simple salesman. At 25, he opened his own boutique and quickly achieved insolent success. His clientele includes wealthy customers like Helmut Berger and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They all come to his boutique, the Carnival of Venice, located on the prestigious Maximilianstrasse, Munich's Champs-Élysées. His store now rubs shoulders with the biggest luxury brands. But over time, the public figure is increasingly sought after by his clients and bothered by his fans. Moshammer then hires a bodyguard to ensure his peace of mind.
It's true that when you're a celebrity, you always have to deal with strange and inappropriate behavior. There are always jealous people, people who simply want to disrupt your life.
And that was something that happened often.
But did the star designer also fear for his life? Had he been threatened? These are questions the police are asking themselves. As they investigate, they will discover a man with many facets. Behind the jovial mask of the public figure lies a taciturn and, above all, anxious man.
He was afraid of becoming poor again, and the older he got, the more afraid he became. Yes, it's true that he was very suspicious, always afraid of being robbed. He was afraid of not having enough money. He was very afraid for the future.
On the morning of January 15th, just minutes after their arrival, investigators are busy collecting evidence at the crime scene. On the first floor, they discover Moshammer's body with a cable wrapped around his neck. To their surprise, the police note that nothing has been stolen. Not even the valuable silverware clearly visible in the kitchen.
The most surprising thing at first glance was that there was absolutely nothing surprising about the crime scene. There were no signs of a struggle, no disorder, no blood. In fact, there was only the body in the house and everything else was in order. We had the feeling that someone had staged the entire scene, like in a bad crime novel, I'd say. It gave us the impression that someone wanted to mislead us about what had really happened. Yes, we were really in the middle of a bad crime thriller.
Strange, you said strange. That's also the impression of the investigating judge.
The crime scene gave a rather unreal, surreal impression. And since there were no visible signs of injuries, it looked a bit like a movie scene. But the case was serious. Rudolph Moshammer was dead. He had a cable wrapped several times around his neck, and everything suggested he had been strangled.
In any case, we know that the cable was already in the house. It was an extension cord.
Did the murderer leave any fingerprints or DNA traces on the cable? The police are wondering and continuing their investigation. In the wealthy and well-ordered house, one detail catches their attention. A totally incongruous object that doesn't fit with the decor. On a desk cluttered with knickknacks, he discovers a porn tape. The object is prominently displayed, wedged between a chalice and a Bible.
This house was very clean, very tidy, almost too neat. And it's certain that this tape stood out in the decor. As a result, we focused on it a bit more. What is this tape doing here? What does it mean?
Is the tape an element added to the scene to deceive us? Or did it play a specific role in the crime? We didn't know.
The cable and the porn tape are the key pieces of evidence collected by the police. These pieces of evidence are immediately sent to a specialized analysis laboratory. The investigators hope they will reveal DNA traces or fingerprints. A slim hope, as the crime scene seems to have been cleaned in a precise and systematic manner.
The materials provided to us were the cable Moshammer had around his neck, as well as records of traces left on door handles, on dressers, on which the perpetrator might have left DNA traces. We had to be quick because we knew the police were eagerly awaiting the results.
Birgit Beyer and her entire team then embark on a race against time to make a few decimeters of electrical wire speak. Meanwhile, the investigators retrieve all the victims' personal belongings from the Grunwald house. A cell phone, a briefcase, a fax machine, and a travel bag. All of these items could potentially lead them to a clue.
In most homicide cases, the murderer is often found within the victim's inner circle. Often the victim and their killer know each other. So we wondered who Moshammer was on bad terms with at that time. Had he had any conflicts with those around him?
The fact that the front door was open was really an important element. There were no signs of forced entry or struggle, which meant that Moshammer had let the murderer in.
For the police, there was no doubt. Moshammer knew his killer, and the bodyguard's testimony would support their theory.
No, he hadn't even called on us that Friday.
He had said, "I won't need you for a few days."
The investigators will now have to delve into the intimate life of the famous fashion designer.
I became interested in his private life. Who are his friends? Who are his sexual partners? Did he have any conflicts or money troubles?
The homicide detectives will meticulously question his close associates with these questions in mind. And as the investigation progresses, one person from Moshammer's inner circle will attract the attention of the police. It's Andreas Kala, the famous fashion designer's personal chauffeur. He's the one who discovered the body and alerted the police. And the man has no alibi for the night of the murder?
Just because the chauffeur discovered the body doesn't mean he's innocent. He had access to the house, and since there was no break-in, he's a potential suspect.
Andreas Kaplan knew the wealthy designer's private life better than anyone else. But more importantly, the police are about to make an interesting discovery. Moshammer had drawn up a will, and his chauffeur was one of the main beneficiaries. The police apprehend the man and question him for over 11 hours.
The chauffeur informed us that he was one of the beneficiaries of Rudolph Moshammer's will, and that upon his death, he was to receive a house and a lifelong pension.
Did the model employee do away with his boss to cash in on the jackpot? The theory of a sordid crime is soon reinforced, as investigators discover that the fashion designer had an angry and irritable behavior towards his chauffeur. Sometimes he would fire him, and the next day he would rehire him.
Andreas was very patient with him.
He endured a lot, endured everything.
It must be said that he really lived for him. The chauffeur told us all about Moshammer's life and all the complications he had with him. Eventually, Moshammer had bought him a house.
He was questioned in great detail.
We even asked him some uncomfortable questions at times. But what he said during the interrogations didn't suggest that he was the murderer.
I have enough confidence in the instincts of the police officer who conducted the interrogations. He has a lot of experience in this field and is able to extract information during interrogations. And then he told me, no, it's not him.
The police don't believe Andreas Kaplan capable of eliminating a boss he adored. They therefore abandon this lead to focus on the employees of the luxury boutique. Because lately, sales had been declining inexorably and customers were becoming scarcer. The golden era for Moshammer was over, which he took very badly and became increasingly irritable. On the day of the murder, he had actually opened the cash drawer and exclaimed, "But there's nothing in it!" And as usual, his employees bore the brunt of his bad mood.
You could say that they all had a potential motive to kill him, as he wasn't very kind to them.
He was very hot-tempered.
Sometimes he would fire all his employees, then 5 minutes later he would rehire them.
It's true that he had confrontations, professional conflicts with his employees.
And it's true that he was feared and dreaded as a boss.
Mistreated employees, declining sales, Moshammer clearly had reasons to worry. But again, the interrogations yield nothing conclusive and the investigators start from scratch. But then, who could have assassinated Rudolph Moshammer? And who benefits from the famous designer's death? Friday, January 15th, night falls on the bourgeois Bavarian capital and Moshammer's murderer is still at large. With the media coverage of the case, the phone keeps ringing at the police station. Some inquire about the future of Daisy, the little orphan dog. Others want to know the status of the investigation. But several witnesses are adamant. They saw the fashion designer accompanied by a man recognizable by one detail.
They had seen Moshammer driving his car on the way between the station district and his house in Grünwald, with a man wearing a white cap sitting in the passenger seat.
A man with a white cap. The police finally have the lead they were waiting for.
The description was important for us because it was precise information that gave a real direction to the investigation. Obviously, we didn't have any suspects, but we clearly knew how to continue our investigations.
And this direction is neither towards the very chic Maximilianstrasse nor the peaceful alleys of Grünwald, but rather to the train station district where Moshammer apparently liked to stroll. The police discover that the star fashion designer, who loves to be seen in public during the day, has a second life. At night, he transforms into a libertine in the underground world.
Several witnesses told us that Moshammer often frequented the train station area, looking for sexual partners. Munich's train station district is the kind of place where you can find prostitutes. But it's not exactly as you might imagine, with people openly soliciting on the streets. No. Usually, if you want to make a connection, you need to know a bit about how things work there.
And Moshammer knows his way around very well. The fashion designer was in fact homosexual. In public, he would be seen on the arm of women, but in private, he preferred the company of men.
He was looking for male prostitutes. I had told him, no, this isn't right. You're very well known in Munich. You're famous, and you're picking up guys in the seedy area around the train station. One day I said to him, wait a minute, you're not being reasonable.
We take care of your security during the day, and you cruise around the station district at night for 3 hours in a Rolls Royce.
A nighttime ritual well known to those close to him. And yet Moshammer liked to keep his unusual encounters secret.
It was a topic he hid from everyone, even from me.
It annoyed him that I made him understand that I knew.
I know what you do at night?
I think he knew that everyone was aware, but he couldn't accept the fact that it was common knowledge.
While searching the designer's cell phone, the police find traces of several casual lovers he had met in recent days. And one of them will reveal the mystery of the porn tape, an astonishing nighttime ritual that Moshammer engaged in with his lovers.
The man recounted that Moshammer approached him in his vehicle, showed him the porn tape, and asked if he wanted to watch it together. Then they went together to Moshammer's house. He parked the car in the courtyard, they entered the house, and they had a sexual encounter in that room. Moshammer didn't want homosexuals. He preferred heterosexual men, married if possible, so there wouldn't be any real connection with them, but definitely not in words.
Now the police are piecing together the beginning of a scenario. On the night of the crime, the distinguished fashion designer drove around the station district for a while in his car, until he approached a young man wearing a white hat. He made him an offer, the individual accepted and got into the car. Rudolph Moshammer then showed him the infamous porn tape, which the police later found placed on a desk at the designer's home. Did Rudolph Moshammer know the man in the white hat? Was he a regular lover or just a casual fling? Why did the man from the station district brutally murder the Munich fashion designer? On the early morning of Saturday, January 16th, the city was barely waking up. Meanwhile, at the analysis lab, Birgitte Bayer and her colleagues had already been working for several hours on the electrical cable used to strangle Moshammer, searching for possible DNA traces.
When we got the results, we were greatly surprised to see 2 DNA traces appear. One was Moshammer's. The other, therefore, was that of his murderer. It was an exhilarating moment, wasn't it? Yes, at that moment, we all felt a rush of adrenaline. We were very happy and called the police to give them the good news.
We received the information on Saturday evening. The lab had indeed found DNA traces on the cable. And then we said to ourselves, this is it. Now we really have a chance to solve the mystery of Moshammer's death.
But the question remains, to whom does the DNA found on the cable belong?
We quickly sent our results to the Regional Criminal Investigation Department so they could compare our DNA with those they had listed in their database.
And luck will be on their side.
On Saturday early in the evening, I received this call telling me the DNA has been identified. We know who it is. And here's his name.
The murderer was in the DNA database because he had had problems with his girlfriend at the time. She had filed a complaint against him for assault. The fact that the DNA matched our database was a huge stroke of luck for us. It was almost surprising.
Sunday, January 17th, just 2 days after the murder, the police finally have a serious suspect. He's a young Iraqi named Erikli, and he's 25 years old.
The goal then was to apprehend the culprit as quickly as possible. We thought he would soon flee. So we checked the police records for his address, and we did a reconnaissance.
The police stake out in front of the building and wait for the suspect. They won't have to wait long.
We saw a person who matched our suspect's description. He had a shaved head and was wearing a hoodie. And from his face, we were 90% sure he was our man.
The man in the hoodie is apprehended at his home that evening. The police search the suspect's apartment. They find the infamous white hat, which the suspect had cut into pieces. They're also looking for other evidence, as the DNA print isn't enough to charge him with murder. To locate him on the night of the crime, investigators conduct a thorough review of the calls on his cell phone that evening.
By looking at the location of the phone calls he received, we can establish that he was in the station area that evening, at the spot where Moshammer approached him. Later, his phone is located at the crime scene. And finally, after the murder, we find him back in his neighborhood.
To close their case, the police need to obtain his confession. But the interrogation is laborious. The young man doesn't answer the questions he's asked. Worse, he doesn't seem to understand what we want from him.
It was only by playing on his emotions that we managed to reach him, to make him talk, by telling him, Moshammer was a bad person, and you're the real victim. He then told us about his life, how he came from Iraq, that he was poor, and that he had always been poor.
Talking about himself moved him.
And then we dug deeper until he confessed his crime to us.
Iraq.
Thanks to Eric Chali's confession, the police now know the sequence of events on that terrible day of January 14th, 2005. It all starts on the sidewalks of the station district amid a few strip clubs and gloomy gambling halls. Eric Chali has just lost the 900 euros his girlfriend had lent him on the slot machines. It's 11 p.m. when he leaves the bar. He continues to hang around the neighborhood when Rudolph Moshammer, driving his superb car, approaches him. He offers him a certain amount of money in exchange for sexual intercourse. While driving through Grunewald, Erikli realizes that the people living in this very chic suburb have a lot of money. Arriving at 11 Robert Korcha Trace, the fashion designer locks the door behind him, as he does every time he brings a stranger home. Upstairs, the two men settle in a small living room, and to motivate his partner, Moshammer puts a porn tape in the VCR. But his partner refuses any sexual contact. Shortly after, Rudolph Moshammer goes to the bathroom. It's at this moment that Chali searches through the dresser. He's convinced he'll find something to steal. But he finds nothing. He then grabs an extension cord. The evening is over. Moshammer offers to accompany his partner. Eric then wraps the cable around his neck and pulls with all his might. The fashion designer struggles, but Ari doesn't let go. Rudolph Moshammer's agony lasts nearly 5 minutes. Eric Halley then searches his victim's pockets. He steals over 1,000 euros, takes the keys, then flees the house, leaving the door open. On foot, he silently crosses the Grunewald suburb. A few hundred meters further, they mechanically toss the keys into some bushes before disappearing into the dark night. Game over for the Munich police. A few months later, Erikli is sentenced to life in prison for murder and theft. And on January 22nd, the designer to the stars is buried with great fanfare. The procession moves up the prestigious Maximilianstrasse ahead of thousands of fans. As per his wishes, Rudolph Moshammer rests beside his mother in their modest mausoleum.
I remember the press coverage. It was enormous, on the same scale as his debut on Maximilianstrasse. He left as he came, on Maximilianstrasse. It was really powerful. His funeral was his last big show.
But today, on Maximilianstrasse, the famous fashion designer's boutique is no more. Now another luxury store occupies its place.